Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be asking the question: where are the 1.5 to 15 variable scopes? Okay, so 1.5 to 15. It's not an LPVO, right? Because it doesn't go all the way down to a one power. Um, so I'm going to call it an MPVO, right? Medium power variable optic. Okay. So this has come up more than once um, in the comments of videos I have done, where I have said that yeah, ideally I would like an LPVO that goes from one power all the way up to 15 power. Okay, the best I can get right now is a 1 to 10 from Primary Arms. Adable, as far as I can tell, is the only company that has a 1 to 12 out there. I didn't jump in on that because I really wasn't completely sold on the reticle design. I do like the combat reticles of Primary Arms. Um, and I don't get paid by Primary Arms. It's just I keep going back to them because not even because of the hardware, but because of the software, because of the combat reticles. Okay? Um, so as I was saying in a number of videos I've done, I'm saying, hey, give us a 1 to 15 already. And I understand it's hard. There's lots of engineering and physics involved. I think that eventually we'll get there. Okay. Um, but I mean, if Adderall's already doing a 1 to 12, I don't think 1 to 15 is like impossible. Okay. Now people say, hey, when you zoom in, you get like a really super tight eye box, but that's fine because if you got a first focal plane scope, you can just zoom back. Okay. So I've got this 1 to 10 over here, right? First focal plane. So if I need a wider field of view, I don't have to go all the way up to 10. I can go to 6 or 8, and I can get up on target and I get a much more forgiving eye box, versus if I go all the way to 10, right? And now I come up and yeah, now I'm seeing some shadow and stuff. So the nice thing, because it's a first focal plane scope, the subtensions, right? The range estimating, the bullet drop, it's gonna be true in all magnification. So I already discussed that in the last video, and one of the comments, one of my viewers made a comment that hey, check out the March 1.5 to 15. And I think the same person may have mentioned that in the past. I had already looked into it, and I went and I took another look at it. So here's the thing: this March 1.5 to 15 is $2,600. Okay, $2,600. And it's something. I got a pretty generous budget. Okay, but yeah, that's even a little out of reach for me because here's the thing, it's not, see, to me, like all guns and all scopes, they're all disposable, right? It doesn't make like I can't see a gun being usable, right, in a combat type of situation, if under certain circumstances you're not okay with like just leaving it behind and like grabbing a lighter rifle and getting at it. Okay, so to me, every gun to some extent has to be disposable, right? And that's the reason why I prefer lots of cheap guns and lots of cheap scopes, so that first of all, they're disposable. Second of all, I can, if I have lots of them in an SHTF type of situation, I can arm lots of people, right? Because if you have 10 people with cheaper guns and cheaper scopes, they're probably going to be more effective than me by myself with a really expensive gun with a really expensive scope on that. Okay. So yeah, there's quantity has a quality all of its own. Okay, so I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts on this March 1.5 to 15. Okay, so the first thing I'm thinking of, okay, let's see, and I actually did a video on this in the past, where I've dialed up the scope to 1.5 power. Okay, and I'm doing some moving and shooting, and I'm seeing it. Is it good enough, right? How close is it to being a one power? So I have a number of scopes here, starting with this $300 one, right? So we got a $300 one You know, so in 1 power, you know, I can, you know, no problem, right? This works pretty good, okay? So if I move this up to 1.5, right? Halfway between the 1 and 2, okay? And so here's the thing with this. If I'm here, I see the target and I come up on the target, I'm usually okay, okay? The problem that I run into is if I do a target transition. So if I'm here and then I go there and then I come back there and I come back there, that's where I start slowing down a little bit. Now, this gets amplified when I switch over to my left eye, right? And I do the same thing. I'm there, I go there, I go there. Now I'm even slower, okay? Being on the left side, because I do lots of work on my left side, because for one thing, it's first of all, you want to be good on your left side as well. But secondly, it gets you out of your comfort zone. It's a little bit of a stress inducer. So that's how I test things out. I do that with all optics. I shoot them on my left side. So I go to 1 power, right? I go to 1 power here. I come up on my left side, go to there. Yeah, you know, on my left side, the target transitions, no problem on my left side, okay? But go up to 1.5. Yeah, halfway 1.5. Okay, there, yeah, now, yeah, that's, the distortion is really being amplified on my left side. If I'm on my right side, not so bad. It's still there. I'm able to adjust a little bit faster. But on my left side, yeah, it's amplified, okay? So, the reason why I got all these guns out is because you might say, hey, that's a $300 scope there. Okay, let's go to the $1,500 one, right? $1,500 one. So this is the Primary Arms PLX 1-8 compact. So the nice thing about this is they actually give you a setting here of 1.5. All right, so they actually give you a setting over there. So when I did the video, I think it was last summer, I was actually testing this out specifically in this situation. Now, again, if I'm here, right, on my strong side, and I see the target, and I come up, yeah, no problem, and I'm like right on it, no problem, okay? The problem becomes is when you go there, and you go there, and you go there, okay, I'm like, you know, then you go there, okay? So that's where it starts getting a little distorted, which again is amplified when I'm on my left side. I'm not doing the target transitions. Yeah, slowing down even more, taking me more time to adjust. So there's definitely, you know, even with this $1,500 scope, there's definitely, you know, something that's lost, okay? You're not going to be as fast in 1.5 as you are in 1 power. So with this, if I go to 1 power now on my left side, boom, yeah, boom, right there. Boom, yeah, no problem. Yeah, no problem. No problem. No problem. All right, so we got $1,500 scope here. And I got everything in between, okay? I got $500, I got like $800. I've done this test. I've done this test moving and shooting through a trench. The 1.5 is gonna slow you down. I've actually, I think that when I did this, I was doing it with the $1,500 scope. I tried going to like 1.1 or 1.2. Yeah, at 1.2. Yeah, right there at 1.2, I really can't tell. All right, so let me show you guys where this is at. So there's the one, right? So I'm just bringing this up to like right there, because that's the 1.5. So I'm going to like 1.2. That's right about there. 1.2. I'm not even going in the middle. I'm going 1.2. I'm actually seeing a little bit more distortion because I'm actually halfway between the 1.5 and the 1.2. Let's go, sorry, between the 1.5 and the 1. Let's go a little bit more towards the 1. So now it's like a 1.2. So it's not on the 1, but it's a little bit off. Yeah, that's probably the point at where it's not an issue, right? So it can't be a 1.5 to 15. It would have to be like a 1.2 to 15 so that it will so that you can get to the point where even if you're under stress, moving and shooting in an unfamiliar scenario, right? Because it's one thing if you're like know where the targets are, and it's another thing if you're moving to an area where you don't know where the targets are. Okay, so this is how I have tested this, right? Again, I did the video last summer. Okay, so 1.5. If I'm on my left side, moving through an area that I don't know, yeah, 1.5. It's a little disorienting. The 1.2 I can get by. So going back to this concept, this mark 1.5 to 15. Now I have not tried that scope. I've seen video of it. I've seen the reticle. My feeling is, without having tried it like in person, here's the thing. It's not like I wouldn't buy it, right? But I'm not paying $2,600 for something that's gonna like not be as good as a 1-power. Okay, I mean that's too much money to spend for something that's just not gonna be perfect. Perfect in use here. If they could get it down to 1.2, I think that would make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, I still don't think I would spend $2,600 on it, because my thing is that guns are meant to be disposable. Okay, if you're using a gun, right, that you're afraid to break, damage, lose, leave behind, give out to other people, right, like an SHTF type of situation, right, you might have to leave guns behind. You might have to arm other people. Okay, so if you can't give the guns out and afford to lose them, it's probably not a good SHTF gun. Okay, so that's why it doesn't make sense to me to invest that much money in a scope. Okay, especially one that like I'm using it, and yeah, 1.5 is slowing me down. 1.2, all right, let's look at, let's say they can get it to 1.2. The other issue I had with this, the Mark 1.5 to 15, is the reticle. The reticle is like, you look kind of like if you're looking at it like really fast, it just looks like a basic crosshair. I don't think that there's enough stuff to bring your eye to the center. Okay, so I think that like the primary arms, they use the thick outer post, right? When you're in 1-power, you see basically a duplex, and then they give you with this with the 1 to 10 first focal plane, they now give you an outer circle. Okay, so that guides you to the center, and then they give you an inner circle, right? So when you zoom up to your max magnification. So the reticle design that I see in this Mark 1.5 to 15, I don't think it's fully developed. That's a good way of putting it. If you guys should look at the reticle that the primary arms 1 to 10 by 24 GLX first focal plane. Look at the reticle that this scope has. I did a number of videos on this. This is a good reticle for a first focal plane, 1 to 10 or plus scope that guides you to the center. Okay, so that's the other thing. I saw with this Mark 1.5 to 15. I don't think the reticle is fully developed. Okay, so on the one hand, the cost is so high that the gun can't be classified as disposable, right? So that means that it's not a good SHTF gun. The reticle is not fully developed. Okay, and the magnification in that 1.5, it's if it was 1.2, maybe. Okay, so what I would like, okay, because as far as I can see, they're the only company that has a 1.5 to 15. Okay, I would like Primary Arms to come up with a 1.2 to 15, and I want an SLX version. Okay, I mean, listen, I've got a GLX here and I got a PLX here, right? We got $800, we got $1,500 here. You know something? The reality is that these type of scopes, right, even though they're great and they're nice, they're going to be out of reach for most people. Okay, most people aren't going to be able to afford them. So you know, and again, if you're afraid to break it, to lose it, to give it away, to give it up, it's not practical for SHTF. So I like the Primary Arms SLX line, like this one right here, right? SLX, $500 scope. That's where we need to be, right? You know, I kind of like, you know, all these guns over here, with the exception of that one, that's a Ruger, but the other ones are Palmettos. I like Palmetto's attitude of they want to put as many guns out there, as many good, affordable guns out there into the hands as many people as possible, because ultimately that's how we protect the Second Amendment. We get as many people, bring as many people into our camp as possible, and we give as many Americans as possible a vested interest in protecting their Second Amendment rights. Okay, if the guns are so expensive and the scopes so expensive that not enough people can afford them, you know what? Not enough people are going to fight hard enough to, you know, protect the Second Amendment. Okay, so they have to be cheap enough so that it can get into the hands of everybody. Okay, now for me as a full-time gun instructor, okay, there's very few people that I'm probably because I just got this $800 GLX scope. There's very few people that I'm ever going to actually put on this. Okay. And very few people, this $1,500 PLX, I've had people on it, but not too many, okay? You know, I gotta be working with people for a long time before I put them on a $1,500 scope. But the $500 ones, this SLX, yeah, sure. I mean, I train people. I mean, you can see all the scratches and all the, stuff. You know, this is a level that I'm okay having other people use, because if it gets broken, whatever, lost, it's only a $500 scope, okay? $500 scope, $500 gun, I'm in for $1,000 here. So those are my thoughts on this on this 1.5 to 15 concept. I like it. I would even like I said that, hey, I'd like a 1.2 to 15. Maybe that's not possible, right? Okay, 1.5 to 15, fine, but not at $2,600. Okay, maybe max $700, $800, right? In the GLX, but preferably $500 SLX. Okay, that's where I think Primary Arms needs to go with this. Now, I know that Primary Arms has a 2.5 to 10. Okay, and my thing is because I just got this GLX one. Why would I get a 2.5 to 10 when I can get a 1 to 10? Okay. I mean, the 2.5 to 10 just doesn't make any sense to me. Now, some people say, hey, the 2.5 to 10 has a parallax adjustment. If I can avoid the parallax adjustment, I'd rather avoid it, because the problem with parallax adjustments is every time you move you change the magnification, even if you're on the same target at the same distance, if you change the magnification, you got to change parallax, okay? And certainly as you're moving to different targets at different distances, so you're not just adjusting magnification, you're also adjusting parallax. So it's true that if you got a scope with a parallax on it, I mean, you can get your focus just perfect, okay? But realistically, for practical combat shooting, the focus doesn't need to be perfect, okay? In fact, I mean, the glass is going to probably get a little bit dirty anyway, so the glass is not going to be crystal clear. In fact, on this scope over here, right, if you look on over here, yeah, I can see a cloudy shit on there, right? I don't know if you guys can see it, but I mean, just looking at this, yeah, I can see that there's cloud in there. This thing hasn't been cleaned in a while. I mean, that's practical use, man. I can still see it get on target, So that's why I'm not a big fan of the Japanese glass, super clarity. I'm perfectly okay with Chinese glass. The scopes are gonna get beat up. So I think that. So anyway, so as far as the parallax adjustment, I'd rather the scope didn't have a parallax adjustment. Okay, not fine on a 5 to 25 where I'm shooting out to 1,000 yards. Sure, that's a different type of scope used for a different purpose. Where you got you're not going to take 1,000 yard or 800 to 1,000 yard shots with a 308 unless you're in a very stable position. You've had time to set it up. You're stalking your target. So for that type of a gun, the way it's going to be used, sure, you got time to use the magnifier and set your parallax. Okay, but on a scope that goes down to, let's say, 1 power or 1.2 power, My thoughts are that, you know, a lot of times you're trying to get the shots off fast. So I want to, the most I think I would go is maybe change the magnifier. Okay, I don't want to have to change magnifier and then also have to fumble, you know, adjust the parallax. And if I decide change my magnifier again, I got to change the parallax again. So on an LPVO or MPVO, okay, I do not want a parallax adjustment. Okay, now as far as now, people can say, well, the parallax is not just about the focus. You know, it's about getting the reticle on the same focal plane as the target. Okay, so what I have found, and I did a test on this with LPVOs. If I got a target at 100 yards, okay, with an LPVO that goes down to 1 power, and I have it here, and I move my head like to the edge of the glass where I'm basically in the shadow, and I can just see basically the reticle is just touching. I'm sorry, the aiming point, in this case the chevron. The shadow is just before the chevron. It moves about 1 inch at 100 yards. Okay, that's how much movement you're going to get if your face is off the gun. Okay, 1 inch at 100 yards. Now, on a scope that has a parallax adjustment, right? Again, I tested it out. If your parallax is perfect and you do the same thing, you take your face off the gun, right? Take the pressure off, get into the shadow. You're also going to be off 1 inch at 100 yards. Okay. Now, on the scopes with the parallax, if you take the scope out of parallax, right, and now you take your face off the off the gun so that you're in the shadows, right? Now you're going to be off 3 inches at 100 yards. Okay, so the scopes that have a parallax adjustment need the parallax adjustment. Okay, the reason why they put the parallax adjustment there is to get them to the level of an LPVO that doesn't have a parallax, so that if you take your face off the gun, the most amount that you'll be off is 1 inch. Okay, so they're my thoughts on that. That's why, like, a lot of people are like, yeah, the 2.5 to 10, it's got a parallax adjustment. No. Give me like a 1.2 to whatever. I'm sorry. It was a 1 point. The 2.5 to 10 has a parallax adjustment, and I'm like, no, I don't want the parallax adjustment. Give me a 1.2 to like 15, all right, without parallax adjustment, and I will be very happy. As long as it's in that range where the scope is potentially disposable, you know, you can lend it out. You're not worried that, you know, if it breaks and you got to replace it. You know, as long as it's in that category, that's a true SHTF gun, a disposable throwaway gun. Okay. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'll talk to you all soon. I'm also going to include a scope playlist in the comments and the descriptions. You guys can check it out.